Everybody, how's it going? Matt Stevens here. Just going to go over Module 4, Understanding My Community. The community that I am going to go over is Mustang Public Schools. Taught there for 4 years. I'm currently transitioning to more public schools, but since I have so much knowledge about Mustang, which I just left less than a month ago, I decided that was the one I was wanting to talk about. As you need to understand that customs and traditions are very important in Mustang. You can obviously see our core values over here to the right: attend to relationships, laser focus on student success, clear and timely communication, and collaborative culture. The one thing that I knew going into Mustang Public Schools is that there's a very high standard of academics at that school and district. So test scores, athletics, performing arts is just everything they want to have very high standards for. There's high community involvement. You know, you see homecoming parades, bond issue support, except for last year, and we're going to go over that here in a second. And then community help on school improvement, which can come through working on the grass or, you know, landscape or inside the school itself. It's a large district, so it has a very large footprint. There's about 11,868 students, and 3,679 of those are at the high school. So you can imagine that high school is busting at the seams right now. There's 16 total schools, so all the schools are actually pretty large. It employs about 1,600 people, and it covers 72 square miles. And I got this off the Mustang Public Schools website. Pretty interesting when you look at it. The district is actually very, very large. Some population characteristics. The school district population is about 74,000. The median age is about 32, and you can see our household income. The median is about $78,000, and there's about 25,000 households in our district. 88% of these are high school graduates. 30% has bachelor's or higher. You see that we have a 10% veteran population, which I feel that's pretty high for a lot of places. And then the home cost is actually pretty expensive at about $196,000. I think all these are important to understand, especially when you're trying to do community outreach and just understanding your clientele that you're trying to reach out to and the things that they may need. A little bit about communication. We're a large city. We're basically a suburb of Oklahoma City. So the mass media, everything's there that you could want, from television to magazine, newspaper, radio, social media, wide array. They're, especially for Mustang, we have a website, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm sure there's some that I'm missing, but my district stays very up to date on all these social media aspects, and I think that's very important on community outreach because a lot of people get majority of their information from social media. There is also emergency communications at Mustang Public Schools. You can get emergency communications through email, text message, or even phone call. You can even get all three. I think this is important to have as a district because you always want to be able to communicate with your stakeholders to let them know of important things that are going on. Community groups, you notice that we have all those normal things. We have booster clubs, PTA, athletics, bands, FFA, which is really big at Mustang. Obviously, we still have a very large country or rural feeling district, even though it's so big. But one thing I was going to get into is our community organizations. You can see that church groups, first responders, social groups, military organizations, and then oil and gas. Those things are, we kind of hit on all those here. We have a large National Guard base here in Mustang. We also have large churches here in Mustang, and they're very involved inside of our school district, and they are very giving inside of our school district. So they definitely is a group that you have to take into account when you are trying to bind your school community with your physical community that you're living in. A little bit about leadership. Like I said, it is actually a small community. You see we have a city council, mayor. Even though we're a large district, we kind of are combined We actually have 3 different cities that come to our school district: Oklahoma City, Mustang, and Yukon. Our actual city of Mustang is only 6 square miles, so it's kind of interesting, but that is the primary city council that communicates with Mustang Public Schools. The school board is very influential in the area. I know people that are on the school board, and they run for office, and it's a big task to take. Landowners and farmers, still big around here. If you own a lot of land, you have a lot of say. Local business owners, of course, they've got their hand in some things, especially with the Chamber of Commerce. Then you see local churches, like I talked about before, and then there's always people of influence that maybe came from Mustang that are, either very wealthy or kind of have turned famous in their own right, and they definitely have some influence in Mustang public schools as well. Knowing all these different leadership styles is definitely beneficial, because you need to know who you're talking to, and you need to know who you need to talk to. And once you kind of find those things out, I think your road to get your things done works out a lot better. Economic conditions, you can see that housing market sales are up about 20% last 4 years. Cost of homes are about up 20%. I think that's kind of normal everywhere you go. It's the highest growth of any school district in the state of Oklahoma. Talking about the bond issues, last year our bond issue did not pass, and I think that has to do with a lot of spending that they did, and a lot of parents thinking that it was not beneficial to their student, and they spoke at the polls. Prior years have always passed, but you can see that this year, if you go on Mustang Public Schools website, there's a huge media campaign for this year's bond, talking about how it's for the best of all kids and different things, and not just for athletics. There's, like I've talked before, there's a high household income, and there's less than 6% poverty, and I found this with the Census Reporter in 2022. Social tensions. We're a very conservative community. House Bill 1775 passed last year, and it prohibits the teaching of CRT, which basically means no teaching can make a student feel guilty. We've actually, in our district, been brought up for charges of breaking the bill, House Bill 1775, and actually got put on probation. One of the other major social tensions you see is athletics versus academics. You see pretty recently there's been new facilities built for football, baseball, softball, and basketball, while at the same time there's a lot of overcrowding at our high school. Parents calling for a second high school, saying we need more space, and in turn that is why we have a bond issue coming. A little bit about the power structure. School district, power in the community. They're a large employer, 1,600 employees. Granted, not all of those might live here in Mustang, but I mean, when you employ that many employees, you kind of have a say in a lot of different things. So it also, our school district brings many people to the community. You also see that our churches in the area have a lot of power. They're very prominent, and a lot of people go to them. Landowners in the area, obviously they own the land what a lot of businesses can move to, and they kind of have a say on what businesses can come in. School district, just kind of talking about the power struggle that we have in our school district. The high school kind of does what it wants and makes its own rules. You can kind of see the other 3 levels, middle, intermediate, and elementary, kind of follow the lead from the administrators. School admin, though, is kind of a they kind of like to please the parents. They really don't ask for a lot of teacher input, and sometimes that causes a lot of trouble and hurts when people are really wanting to reach out in the community. Public opinion, you can see our communication styles there: social media, social board meetings, direct email, and phone. The improvement that I think we could do to really get more engagement from people and let them see what we're doing is start letting more people in the buildings. COVID is over. We need to start letting them in so they can see what we're doing. Ask for input from stakeholders. Listen to more students. Our students have really great ideas, and they're smart. More teacher and parent involvement. And then, like I said before, we have a very opinionated community. They want to get the answers they want. They don't like being told no. And sometimes they're a little entitled to a point. All right. Talking about our weaknesses, leadership, small community, growing rapidly, low community input. Sometimes I think we're missing the boat when it comes to, when it comes to our leadership and how they talk to the community. Sometimes I think they know what's best for the community, when in turn I think they need to ask more questions. One other thing that I wanted to bring up was that you need to make leadership more available to our community. The reason why I was saying this was because our community is full of parents, students, and stakeholders that would love to talk to our leadership. Kind of here is the research or the references that I used. Kind of talking about next my correlation statement and reflection. I really enjoyed this one because I never really thought to think about all the differences, things that kind of go into the community that our school district is in. Our school district is really great. A lot of people love it, but I think when I really dove into it, I'm like, man, our communities, far from poverty. Our community has a higher median income. Our community is not super diverse. And those are all things that I was unaware of until I did this research. But I can tell you this really helped my current learning as far as decision making is bigger than what I thought it was. Okay. So, thinking about decision making when you're an admin, especially in Mustang Public Schools, you have to take all these things into account. And I think that's definitely going to help me as a future school leader, understanding that I really need to sit down and understand my clientele or stakeholders or community and make sure that the decisions that I make or the direction that I try to take that school fits inside of that, not necessarily that box, but things that they also have as their goals. I really enjoyed this module, and I know I kind of covered it kind of quick, but I hope you all enjoyed it as well, and I will talk to you all later.